Hello and once again welcome to the third video of comprehensive analysis demystification of national education policy. Over the last couple of days we have seen a little bit of history and introduction about national education policy, and also yesterday we had a very brief look about the division and structure of national education policy. By division and structure I mean the abolishment of kindergarten to 12th standard, K-12 we call, and then moving to 5+3+3+4 model. Yes, today we will see on two aspects. One is the language aspect and other one is the assessment aspect. Right, both are very important because now language has become the very highly controversial, I should say, because a lot of people are now debating whether that language policy is right or wrong or something. We will first see what this policy is all about, and then we can come to a conclusion whether this is right or wrong. Now, before even reading the policy, I don't think we should be commenting on whether it is right or wrong. So after having carefully read about the policy, I will tell you what and all has been proposed in this policy. The first proposal about this language is till grade 5, all the subjects would be taught in mother tongue. Now the reason for that, the mother tongue could be anything. It depends upon region, it depends upon the state, it depends upon the city. So it differs, right? For example, if your mother tongue, if your state is Rajasthan, you would be taught in Hindi. If your state is Kerala, you will be taught in Malayalam. If your state is Tamil Nadu, you would be taught in Tamil. Now the reason for that is, it's very simple. Now till the age 6 of any child, learning through mother tongue becomes very easy. The understanding capacity of a child is very easy when you learn through your mother tongue. So the policy has stressed upon learning via mother tongue till grade 5 and even till grade 8, but preferably, it is not saying you should teach till grade 8, but it is saying preferably till grade 8 also. Mother tongue can be used as a medium of instruction. Now that doesn't mean English would not be taught. That's again a misconception. English would be taught, but the medium of instruction can be, it also says it can be both. It can be combination of both. Here we call Tanglish, that is Tamil plus English, nothing wrong. That's how it happens usually. Now it is becoming formal, that's it. Right. So the medium of instructions to be in home language. And again, it is completely discretion. I mean, the discretion lies with the respective state. Now, the most important thing, which has become very controversial, I should say, is about Hindi. Now, everyone says Hindi is now become compulsory. Everyone will be taught in Hindi. Let me tell you one thing. I've gone through this national education policy across, I think it's over 100 pages of documents. The word Hindi has been mentioned only once in this entire document, and that too as an example. So trust me, Hindi is not going to become compulsory for anybody. Now, as I told you earlier, multiple languages would be, mother tongue would be taught, but at the same time Hindi would also be offered. Now it is up to the state. Some states can say we don't want Hindi. That's perfectly fine. That's what the policy says. So it doesn't mean that Hindi would be offered compulsorily at all. Now, if the state offers, which most of the states will offer Hindi as a language, students can still say no, I don't want to study Hindi. They are perfectly fine to not study Hindi at all. Right? So let me clear this myth that Hindi is not going to become compulsory at all. That's the key takeaway, I would say. Now going forward, 3-language policy has been introduced. Now, what is 3-language policy, then you might ask, and that's a beautiful point that the policy says. It says out of 3 language that a student or a child studies, 2 has to be native Indian language. Now, native Indian language is Hindi is a native Indian language, Sanskrit is a native Indian language, Tamil is a native Indian language, Marathi is a native Indian language, Malayalam is a native Indian language. Now, these are all Indian languages. It says of the 3 language system that it has proposed, the government has proposed, 2 will be native, which means there will be 1 foreign language, and that 1 foreign language includes English. Right? Now, other than English, there would be 2 languages that would be offered to any child. Now, all along, now coming to Sanskrit, now again, there is a lot of debate about whether Sanskrit would be made compulsory. Again, the answer is no. None of the languages would be made compulsory to anybody. That's very clear. Now, Sanskrit, unlike before, now would be offered across all, right from grade 1, Sanskrit would be offered. Now, the reason I will tell you, now Sanskrit is beyond religion. Let us be very clear. Sanskrit has got no connection with any religion at all. Now, if you know a very small scientific fact about Sanskrit, is the combined literature of two greatest or two reputed languages in the world is lesser than the literature of what Sanskrit has. So that speaks volume about Sanskrit. So now Sanskrit again is not going to become compulsory. I'm not trying to sell Sanskrit or no, absolutely not. I don't need to do all those things. But again, Sanskrit would be offered as a medium of instruction. Now it is purely up to the students to choose to study Sanskrit or not to study. So first takeaway, Hindi is not compulsory. Second takeaway, Sanskrit is not compulsory. You are free to remove, not to study Hindi or Sanskrit. That's perfectly fine, and that's your wish, right? And therefore, 3 language system would be implemented with 1 foreign language and 2 native Indian language. Now, if you wish to study another foreign language at secondary level, there are multiple foreign languages that are going to come in place, like French, German, etc. At secondary levels, you can also choose and study. So that's about the language part. Moving on, very interesting, I should say. There's going to be one fun course that's going to get added from grade 6 onwards. So every student who comes to grade 6 until grade 8 will be exposed to one practical course, which means a student can very well do a hands-on expo on what that subject is all about. For example, gardening or carpentry. Now this would be hands-on, which means a student will undertake an internship for few days on skill-based activities, like gardening is a skill, carpentry is a skill, electric work is a skill. So these are some of the skills that a student will get hands-on experience. Now the government has also introduced a 10-day bagless school days, which means a child will go to a school without bags for 10 days in a year and completely learn all those skills from hands-on from a qualified carpenter or a qualified gardener. Isn't it not good? I think it sounds really great, right? So moving on further, the next I would like to talk about is the assessment. Now it is very, very important that our Indian students and parents are fine-tuned about assessments. Assessments is nothing but the examination part. Now straight away I'm clearing the myth. Board exams for grade 10 and 12 will continue. There is no change in that. The new policy clearly states that the board exam is going to continue. However, the board exam will not be a memorized one. We call it as rote learning, which is a very, very popular thing in India. Rote learning is nothing but memorization. We call it as mug-up in local language. Now memorization is not going to have, it's not going to be there at all. So now the examinations will focus a lot on core competencies of every subject, and it straight away abolishes the rote learning, right? So rote learning is something which will definitely get abolished from now on. Board exam, the government has given option to take board exam twice now. Unlike the last few years where we have been taking the exam only once, we will take the exam twice now. I mean, it's an option that you can take the exam twice, and best of the two will be taken into account for your higher education admissions or whatever it is. So I think it's a fantastic thing, because you write an exam, you feel that you could have done better or you should have done better, you also take another exam, but again you do well, you go to a great college. Otherwise, if you don't do well in the second exam, your first exam marks would be considered for all your future endeavors. Again, it's student friendly. Absolutely, I give a thumbs up to this. Right now, again, you can ask this question to me whether for all other classes there won't be any exams. No, the answer is no. Government is still saying for making the parents and students and all other stakeholders happy, the government is still going to conduct the final exams for grade 3, grade 5 and grade 8. Only these 3 classes will have the final exams. Now again, these 3 classes, there won't be any rote based exam, which means there won't be any memory based exams. It will be a very, very comprehensive exams on core competence of any subjects. So I think that summarizes up what we want to tell today. 2 things we learned. First thing about language. Once again, none of the languages will be made compulsory. Number 2, assessments are not going to be the same again, right? So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. We will still continue to have a little bit about national education policy for the next couple of days. And if you have liked the video, please give a thumbs up and then like the YouTube channel. Thank you so much.